Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Crown podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I'm joined by my very special guest, Kami Guildner. Today, we're going to be talking about how to stand out among the noise to win more business. Now, this is going to be an incredible conversation, and I want to tell you about Kami because Kami believes that women's voices matter. She is a connector, a storyteller, a business coach for high vibe women entrepreneurs, helping them raise up their voice, vision, and visibility for impact and business growth. Kami helps her clients build businesses they love and spend more time on prosperity and wealth prosperity. She weaves soulful inspiration into mindful business strategies, and this soul plus strategy approach to business helps her clients succeed in business and worldly impact. Kami's community of entrepreneurs is creating a new paradigm of entrepreneurship, helping each other raise up in a ripple effect of impact. And that is absolutely beautiful. Her clients have gone on to reach extraordinary heights as consultants, coaches, and leaders, achieving exponential revenue growth, landing on big stages, starting software companies, launching new professional organizations, transforming cultures at corporate, and transforming lives. They are influential and they are change makers. Kami is the founder of the Extraordinary Women Ignite Conference and host of the award-winning Extraordinary Women Radio. She is a best-selling author of Fire Dancer, Your Spiral Journey to a Life of Passion and Purpose, and was named to the 2020 25 Most Powerful Women in Business list by Colorado Women's Chamber of Commerce. Oh my goodness, Kami. I mean, the list just keeps going on and on. Well, thank you so much for being here. We are thrilled to have you on Claim Your Career Crown.
Oh my gosh, I'm thrilled to be here, Lynn. It's been fun getting to know you these past few weeks, having you on Extraordinary Women Radio, and now getting to be here with you on your show.
It's going to be a lot of fun, and this is such a great topic. And for those of you who are tuning in, maybe for that very first time, make sure you don't miss a single episode of Claim Your Career Crown by hitting that subscribe button. And if you love what we're doing, heart, and you love the show, please leave us that 5-star review. We would very much appreciate it. So, Kami, with all this background and everything, I'd love to hear a little bit of backstory about what inspired you to get started on your entrepreneurial journey.
Oh my gosh. So I left the corporate world 15 years ago, and it was a great gig. It was, it took me around the world. I got to do amazing things in my prior life. And thank goodness I got laid off in 2008. And so I always say two blessings there. One is I got laid off, and two, it was 2008 because there wasn't a lot of VP of marketing jobs to be found at that point. So that really opened up this doorway to, I was going to be doing something different. Although I really thought early on that I was going to move right back into another corporate job. And I lost my dad about a month after I got laid off. And it was a really reflective time period for me where I started thinking about the things my dad had taught me. And I was like, oh my gosh, I feel like I lost part of me somewhere along the way. And so I started just taking space and time, getting out in nature and slowing down, just I'd been on such a treadmill, if you will. And there was really this space of there's something different here, but I don't know what it is. And I totally could not have imagined, I look back 15 years ago, this would have never occurred to me that this would be my world today.
Wow. Well, that's, I totally understand that connection with your dad. And my dad was one of my greatest mentors.
Yeah.
And I know you and I have had the conversation about sales and marketing. So it's so fun. I'm so sorry to hear about that. The timing was just sucks.
Yeah. But it was also timing that I don't think I would have jumped right back into the job search and all of the other things. And I actually took about a year and a half of not moving forward, and that, took that break, and I had space and time to just come home to me, which was beautiful.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, there's always a light, a shimmer of light in the darkest of times.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you grabbed that and you went for it. So that's fantastic. So,
Yeah.
um, diving into the conversation, I guess I'm just going to ask you, how do you stand out among the noise to win more business? Because it's just, rather than the latest guru, do this, buy this, and
Yeah.
become an automaton.
Yeah, yeah, and it's and there is so much noise out there, right? I mean, we get hit with so many messages on any given day. I've seen like 60 to 100,000 messages that we are receiving on any given day between social media, regular media, conversations. That's a lot. That is so much. And how do we stand out amongst that? Is we find it's what I teach. So it's really we start with this space of being ourselves and not trying to project somebody else. So building our brand from the inside out. And that means, who are we at our very essence, that core, that light of who we are that's inside of us. And when we can start to uncover that essence of who we are and how that ties into our brand, first of all, nobody's going to be just like you, because the essence of you, the stories that have brought you to this space and time, everything about your journey to this point is part of who you are. And so when we can start to just really live into that light of us, that's a core way that we can do that. So that's one of the ways that we can look at that. A second way is to really make space for what it is you want to stand for. Having a clear message around, if I was to put a stake in the ground, what is it? What's that stake that people know me for? And I call it your one message for the world. And that one message for the world is it's a phrase, it's a quote from you that really gets people to stop and think and act and do differently. I'll give you an example. One of my clients has one, and she's a rocket scientist. And it's like, yeah, I have a rocket scientist client, so I love this. But one of her things she likes to say, her name is Dana Kirchmar, and she likes to, her one message for the world is, what if we stopped asking girls if they're good at math, and instead started asking them what they'd like to change in the world, and what are they passionate about? And so it's that shift, right? It's a shift to getting people to stop and think and act differently. So really finding our thought leadership platform that we want to stand for, that gets people thinking about the world in a different way. And that's one of the ways that we can really start to stand out from the noise, because we get out of, nobody wants to see another pretty meme. Pretty meme with a quote. It's like, stand for something, really know what you stand for. And then the third element that I add to that is get to really know your customer journey, and going deep into a customer journey, because then you're speaking to your clients in a way that they're like, oh my gosh, she's speaking to me. So those are three ways that you can really start to stand out from the noise.
Well, I love that. I love the, really tuning into your authentic self and how powerful that is. Because there's only one unique you.
Yeah.
And the second part, I thought I could immediately think of, how, just the same thing. I mean, I always talk about worthy intent in sales.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, my mantra. And then that last part, understanding the journey that your client goes through is so critical to, not just from the aspect of connecting more deeply with them, but also making sure that you're recognizing gaps and areas of friction to make sure that they have the most delightful journey possible, so that when you've earned the right, you can get the referrals, the introductions, they become raving fans.
Totally.
And that, of course, in turn, delivers more business to you in a faster sales cycle. It's the number one way to really build profit, is when you tap into that client journey and then add a referral process from the very beginning, putting the seed in there, so that when you've reached that point where you've earned the right, you can ask and receive. So, when you're working with your clients on these three core points, I'd love to hear, do you have a specific process that you go through? Obviously, you have a starting point. of
We have a
they're
starting point.
tapping into who they are. But I'd love to hear more about that.
And I'll say I definitely have tools and a journey that we go through that helps, helps them really tap into all of this. And it's also very evolutionary, right? It's like it's not a straight line, because I think that's something that gets spoken about in the entrepreneurial world way too much, is that, oh yeah, it's just 5 steps to this. And it's like there's no such thing as 5 steps to 6 figures or 7 figures or anything like that. It's that's just malarkey. And
Yeah, I'd use a stronger word than that, but
yeah,
you're
that word, I don't know, remember the last time I used that word. But it was a kind word that I came up with in that moment. But so, I say that caveat with it. And what I would say, as far as when we start with the essence of you, we're doing this brand work. We're doing work that is like, I talk about soul and strategy. So this is some of the soul work when we start to look into our stories and our career and our lifetime, where we've been really lit up, where we've have these like, it's like, oh my gosh, I was on fire at this particular time. I was like, everything was working. And then we go back to, it's like, well, what was it at that time that really helped you shine your light? So that's where, we're doing some inner work. We're pulling stories forward, and they're finding clarity in that essence of who they are as a person. And then how does that tie into your brand? So what's the energy of your brand feel like? What's the, one of my favorite questions I like to ask there is if your brand was an animal, what would it be? And, so if somebody says it's a giraffe, well, why is it a giraffe? Let's go deeper into it. And how can that really play into what your brand stands for? I was a former marketing and branding person. I love that kind of work. It's fun. But it builds brands that are unique and different, right? So that it's not following a formula. And we've all seen those formulas that are out there. And I will all day long say, throw out the formulas.
yeah.
And stand in that light of who you are, and listen to that inner wisdom that you have as an entrepreneur, to build your brand from that inside out, from your strengths, from your stories. And so many of my women, my clients are former corporate executives like us, right? They had that's just who's in my community. And as I look through that, they can pull pieces of who they are forward, their stories, their strengths, their gifts. And, but the flip side of that also is they leave behind some stuff that doesn't really serve them. Because I think we got into a space of, I don't know about you, but for me, I got into a lot of space where I was projecting, and, I would show up in how I thought I needed to show up in the corporate world. And we have to shed those layers and truly just be ourselves. And that's that core work that we get into, as we're building the brand aspect of who you are. And then we start to get into customer journey work.
Yeah. Well, that's phenomenal. So, for those who are listening and they may be thinking, oh yeah, but I've got this formula or this 5-step process.
And it sounds like everybody else then, right?
And the cookie cutter,
yeah.
Right? Yeah. And square peg, round hole, honey. But why is it more urgent than ever to stand out among the noise?
Yeah. Well, one, I believe women's wisdom is the medicine our earth needs. And that is, I think that we have a different way of leading. We have a different way of showing up and serving our clients, of building businesses. I look around me and I am like just so in awe of how women are building businesses, and they're throwing out a lot of the old, the rules of this is how you should do things. And they're building businesses that fit their life. And to me, that feels really exciting because, I'm never going back to working 80-hour work weeks. I'm just not going to do it. And I want space and time where I can do my morning rituals. I can go on walks in the day, and I can serve my clients in an amazing way and still have white space on my calendar to breathe, to think, and even not to just to breathe, but also to do, we were talking about thought leadership. We can't do thought leadership work if we don't have white space on our calendars. We have to be able to think and be able to strategize and be creative and let things come up and, do all the things to let that come to life. And if our calendars are booked, solid, like they used to be in the old corporate days, and even frankly, like at one time in my business was that way, right? Whereas like, oh my gosh, what did I do here?
Yeah.
What did I create? So building businesses really in a smart way, but in a simplified way with a simplified business model, is a really good way to start to shift that up.
Yeah, absolutely. I know I block time out in my calendar so that I do have that time, and also to learn new things. I mean, that's part of the whole growth mindset. And we live in such a rapidly changing ecosystem. And I agree. You have to know the rules so that you can break the rules.
Yeah.
And some of the rules they're just old and tired, and they don't serve anyone.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, though, when we're talking about this, what have you found, both with your work with in your community, but in all the different thought leadership roles that you've taken on, that holds people back, that they need to, really tap into a little bit of a growth mindset so they can, break free?
Totally. I mean, there's so many things that can show up there, right? And and I think I can still look around and see things where I'll hold back, and I'm like, what am I doing? I have to catch myself still today. And when I started my business, it's been over a decade ago, I was really good at putting other people to the forefront, right? Raising up our CEO, I was really good at that. And I was very comfortable staying behind the scenes. And so that shift that I had to make of really finding my voice, knowing that, I had something important to say, and then also using my voice, stepping into it. I was terrified of speaking. And very early on, I had a business coach say to me, the fastest way you're going to grow your business is by speaking. And I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then I got a few years into my business, and I wrote a vision statement that said that I wanted to impact 1 million women around the world, helping them raise up their voice, their vision, and their visibility, and grow their businesses. And when I wrote that, I was like, well, I'm never going to do this one person at a time. I need to get over myself and really learn to, get on stages and be seen and be heard, and all the things that comes with that. So I think that's one of the things that I see happening a lot is women holding back with, why does their voice matter? Why, what do I have to say that somebody else doesn't have to say? And then even once they have clarity on that, finding the courage to really step up and start showing up in that message consistently, and really owning it.
Yeah. No, I mean, I love you use the word learn, and it's a learned skill.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, and that's the same thing. Cause I know that when I first started doing video, I was like, well, I'm not an actress. I can't do this. I mean, I'm never going to be able to, and I discovered that, and I caught myself and I went, this is a learned skill, and I'm never going to be an actress because that's not what I'm doing.
No,
I said, what I'm doing is I'm teaching and training, and I'm sharing my knowledge. And that is something I do naturally. It's just a new format. And this is a skill that I will learn. Yeah. And so one of the biggest things is I want everyone to recognize they have that power to say, I don't know how to do this, but I can learn how to do that. And even if it's terrifying, like public speaking can be terrifying for many people, it's how can I learn this in baby steps to acclimate myself? Sort of like, you're getting into the water and it's cold, you're out there on the ocean.
That's a great analogy.
And you keep getting in, and then finally your knees, and then a big wave, and you go, oh man. And then you finally dive in.
Yeah.
So the thing
Yeah.
is that you don't have to just dive in. You can
Yeah.
work your way out through the waves in the sand until you're ready to do that.
And then you
And
might even discover you love it. I mean, that was
yeah,
what I was like, oh, so that wave was fun. And that stage was amazing. And, so it's the biggest growth that we can ever go on.
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, that's why, I have a how to leverage your business by guest podcasting is a free masterclass I offer because it's like so important. And it's a way to make connections like you and
Yeah.
I have. It's a way
Mm-hmm.
to get your voice out there to attract a whole new audience. Well, we could go on. So, I think that the next thing is all this great advice that you've been sharing is for our listeners who've tuned in and they're thinking like, well, what should I do? So, what's the next thing, or what's something, maybe trying something new that they can do today, tomorrow, next week to
Mm.
start that journey to stand out among the noise to win more business?
Find clarity in your message. I think that's a really good place to start, and to do it as a thought leadership message, that one message for the world. And when I talk about that, let me just kind of talk about what a one message for the world is and what it isn't, because I think we can fall really easily into making it into a marketing tagline, and that's not what it is. It is something that is your opinion. It gets people to stop and think and act and do differently. You're putting a stake in the ground that this is what I really stand for. And these don't come overnight. These take time and space to create and for you to really uncover. And then what it's not a tagline, it's not a positioning statement, it's not a marketing statement. So we can always test it. Is this a marketing statement, or is this actually something it's a unique thought that's mine, that people are going, oh, I want to know more about that. They want to go deeper. It's like, so mine is the women's wisdom is the medicine the earth needs, right? And people go, oh, tell me more about that. And like in a podcast interview, people will ask me to go deeper into that. Why do you believe that? What's different? And then we go into the whole topics around, why women's leadership is different and how that changes the world. And it leads us into a deeper conversation. So it's not a positioning statement. It's not a quote from somebody else. It's your unique opinion. So really making space and time to think through, what's my one message for the world? Because then you can start building your content strategy around it, and you can just start talking about it.
Yeah.
And it's something you can do right now is just make the space to start thinking about, what do I stand for that's different than everyone else?
Yeah. Yeah. Or just articulated differently than everyone else.
Yeah.
Right. So, all right. Well, Kami, I have one last question for you. And that is there anything you wish that I had asked you?
Well, you've asked me a lot of really good questions. I know where I'll go. Is I've talked a little bit about having white space on our calendar. And I talk about time prosperity. And one of the things when I think about time prosperity, it is definitely more white space on our calendar, building the business model that helps us get to that space where we have more white space. We've got a product offering that's very, very clear where we're taking our clients. It's simple. It's ascending. It's a high ticket offer. It's, all the things that builds a strong business for us as we're trying to, really build businesses that replace our former and exceed our former corporate salaries, right? But the other side of time prosperity is not just white space on your calendar, but it's the energy that we show up in from time prosperity. And that means like slowing down between meetings. It means making space to breathe during the day. It means not like being in a rush from one thing to another, but actually being very intentional in how you move energetically. So it's a shift, and it's something that I'm still learning myself. Is because I'm really good at the doing, and not always the best at the slowing down and being. And but that's where the magic really happens, and why I'm so passionate about bringing soul and strategy together is when we make that space for ourselves and we slow down energetically, We can feel, we can see more strategically in our businesses. We can, new ideas drop in. There's just much more potential that can really happen for us when we slow down.
Yeah. No, I absolutely agree. I love what you just said. There's a technique called the chair of joy that is really amazing to utilize, and it only takes you literally anywhere, anytime you can use this.
Cool.
And
What is it? So tell me more.
well, it's not mine. It's Cheryl Lynn with Joyly, but it's the chair of joy. But essentially, what you want to do is you find a chair, any chair, and it can be on your deck, it can be, the chair of your office, but you sit down, you make sure your feet are flat on the ground, um, and then you sit, think, um, breathe, and feel. So the whole point is, or maybe I've got the order wrong. Sit, breathe, think, and feel. So you want to
Nice.
sit, and then you're going to breathe deeply, and then you're going to sort of let a thought come into your mind, and then really think that and feel the feelings that you feel
So
around
good.
that. And so with that, in any given situation that you're in, you can literally do this in 60 seconds to either sort of reframe what's going on, so that, maybe it's something that's a little bit, you know, uh,
Yeah.
aggravating or frustrating, but it lets you sort
It
of
releases
reframe
it.
it.
Yeah.
And so I have there's an episode that Cheryl was on, and
Oh my
it's,
gosh, I'll have to go listen to that one because I love that. I love that
yeah,
you, and I'm already thinking of my chair. So,
well, well, and it's just, she has a whole, I mean, it's just, but it tied into things that I already do and did,
yeah,
because I like to take a walk.
yeah, me
So if
too.
I feel stuck, I'll get out and I'll walk. Same thing, feet on the earth. I'll breathe, I'll listen to the rustle in the leaves, maybe a rustle on the, rabbit scurrying by, or a squirrel or a bird. I'll see and I'll feel like I'll touch a leaf. And it's really putting you back into all your senses.
Yeah,
And when you do that and you're focusing on that, all of a sudden, whatever you were thinking about, whatever that problem is, I find at the end of even a short 10-minute walk, I'm completely refreshed.
yeah,
And it's amazing, the new ideas, suddenly something that you hadn't thought about, just by touching that leaf, it's like, oh, I could do it this way.
yeah. I definitely do the walk. I mean, because I live in the foothills of Colorado, so it's real easy for me to go do that, or I'll go out to the barn and just like hang with the horse for a little bit.
Yeah.
All of
Yeah.
that just
Nothing
releases.
like petting an animal, or
Yeah,
that connection, that, once again, it's just that opportunity to reset and reframe.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Kami, thank you so much for sharing how to stand out among the noise to win more business. And I know that after this incredible conversation, that our listeners are going to want to know more about you and where they can find you.
Okay, the best place to find me is over on my website at kamiguildner.com. And once you get there, at the very top of the page, there's a pink bar across that says "Get Updates," and you can get updates into my upcoming free classes that I'm teaching every month. So I'm teaching classes on really raising up your voice, your vision, your visibility, increasing the time prosperity and wealth prosperity in your business, and that's the best way. I'm always teaching something. So come join us. I have an amazing community of women. So come join us.
All right. Absolutely. So, Kami, thank you so much. And for everyone who joined, thank you for coming and tuning in. This has been such an informative discussion. And if you have ideas that you'd like to share, you can leave us a comment down below. We love hearing from you. And if you have a question or would like to suggest a topic for discussion, you can email us at jointheconversation@petitetoqueen.com. And to stay current on all of our insightful advice, breakthrough advantages, and never miss an episode of Claim Your Career Crown, you can sign up for our weekly Wisdoms newsletter, and you will never miss out. So I want to thank everyone for listening. And Kami, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. It's been such a pleasure to spend time with you again, Lynn, and I'm just excited to know you.